YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Carl coming back at you from Golden Grimmer Productions. This time around, we are going to be finishing off the Larry Bird Beyond the Glory documentary. If you are new, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me out tremendously. So we're going to go ahead and knock out the rest of this documentary. I plan on finishing up the Dream Team one right behind this one as well. So be looking out for that one for the upcoming days.
Three years before his retirement, Bird married Dinah Mattingly. It was not his first marriage. As a freshman at Indiana State, he wed Janet Condra. Within a year, they divorced. From a failed attempt at reconciliation, a daughter, Corey, was born in 1977. When Bird signed with Boston, he arranged for monthly checks to be drawn for her until she was 18.
I think he felt like, it was his fault, and it wasn't. It wasn't his fault. It was a matter of a small-town girl that got married too young, didn't want to be married anymore, and he couldn't do anything about it. Once you hurt Larry, that's for life. He's not going to ever accept you again.
Every time I see him, he tells me he loves me, and then as soon as I leave, I don't hear from him for maybe a year. In my letters, every single time I write my phone number and address, call me, just call and say hi, leave a message, anything.
He has two adopted children. Apparently he is a great father to them. But when you looked at the induction ceremony for Larry going into the Hall of Fame and you see the two adopted children there, and you didn't see his natural-born daughter, there's something wrong.
I don't completely agree with his side of the way that he sees things or the way that he does things, but I understand. There's no sense of me being bitter about it now. That's just going to make my life worse.
That's good, because I did do a video in regards to this. Is the dark history of Larry Bird, but it gives more context hearing from her. You know what I'm saying? It's good to hear that she doesn't hold any resentment or bitterness towards him. Like I said, we don't fully understand the circumstances behind everything that took place. So I'm not going to elaborate any more on that because it's not my place to do. Like I said, we don't fully know the story behind why he didn't have too much contact with her. We don't know how the mother was. We don't know how that went. So we'll just leave that where it's at.
Probably hard for him to show how he feels. Maybe he just can't say it.
He would come into her life and then leave and do that over and over again. She'd get her hopes up and then she'd get hurt.
It's harder for him just because he doesn't know where to start. So hopefully, sometime he'll, come around and understand that, I'm going to be here for a while. That would give me a lot of hope, and then we could build from that.
I think if he has had one issue with his first wife and his daughter to some degree is that they've never kept that relationship private. And I said to him once, doesn't it bother you, the perception that people have of you as this, deadbeat dad that doesn't care at all about this child? And he said, well, I know the truth, and that's all that matters to me.
The prodigal son is coming home. Larry Joe Bird, perhaps the greatest player in the history of basketball tradition-rich Indiana, will become the head coach of the Indiana Pacers.
Hired in 1997, Larry Bird earned Coach of the Year in his first season. He brought his team to the verge of defeating the defending champion Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals.
When the Pacers hit the shot, and Bird just sat there and did not move. To me, that was so Larry Bird. He was the one calm guy in the place.
He's made so many last-second and heroic shots himself. I think he was more so thinking about the next situation.
Bird's Pacers lost in 7 games, but his intuitive coaching style continued to produce positive results.
He knew that he had a veteran team, so it wasn't necessary for him to shout and scream and yell, which really isn't his style anyway.
He's a guy that doesn't say, hey, I did it this way, you do it this way. He appreciates each and every guy's individual talent, their skill. He's a no-nonsense guy.
He had very few rules, but Dale Davis and Travis Best one day were a little bit late. The plane was about to take off. They were on the tarmac. Someone said, shall we stop and let them up? And Bird said, hell no, let's go. Let them learn a lesson.
While Bird kept his team in line, he was quietly battling atrial fibrillation, a heart condition he wasn't aware of until after he retired as a player. Although he took medicine to keep it under control, he had occasional episodes.
He's coaching a game. It's on national TV. And he's standing there, and, you know, he's in the throes of the game, and he felt as though his heart was jumping right out of his chest. He starts to sweat profusely, and he said, I thought I was going to pass out in the middle of this game. He called a timeout and sank literally into the chair that they always put on the court for him and composed himself. The amazing part to me is his assistants, his players, nobody noticed. Nobody knew anything was wrong.
After reaching the Eastern Conference Finals in his first 2 seasons, Bird guided Indiana to the NBA Finals against his old rivals in 2000.
And now they come to their feet at the fieldhouse. Earlier they were chanting Larry, Larry, refusing to bow out.
Bro, Larry just couldn't get away from the Lakers, bro. It didn't matter what he did. Like he's gonna always be attached to Boston and LA. It's crazy how his career on the court and in his career as a coach, it all led back to him playing against the Lakers, bro. It never fails. It's beautiful when you think about it, actually.
Instead, they blow the Lakers out.
But the Pacers lost in 6 games. 3 days later, Bird stepped down as head coach and returned home to Naples, Florida, with his wife and 2 adopted children. He still visits the state where it all began for him.
The dollars didn't change him. He loves to take care of his own yards. He comes down here and mows in the summertime with his help and paints that big white fence all around. He works. And Larry will always be the same. He'll always be the same.
I think sometimes of people who have no family, and I think it's the saddest thing in the world. Because I know right now, if I needed something, that I could call them. They would be there.
All of us are driven by things that when we were young made us insecure, that we want to put back in the closet. The game sets you apart and lifts you up and gives you your place in the community, gives you a legitimacy, a decency, an importance that otherwise was denied you.
I asked him one time, I said, what would it have been like if you had stayed on the sanitation truck? He said, Pete, hopefully I would have been bossed by now.
The high noon wedding of Larry Bird and Dinah Mattingly took place at a friend's home just outside Terre Haute. The bride and groom wore jeans. Only 5 others were present, including the judge who married them. The ceremony lasted under 5 minutes. After the newlyweds cut the cake, Larry and his best man went outside and shot some hoops. For Sports Century, I'm Chris Fowler.
Dog, even his wedding, bro, was just like, everything he did was a sign of how he grew up. I really enjoyed this. I hope everybody enjoyed this documentary, the full length of it all. It was an amazing, amazing documentary to learn more about Larry Bird. And I've been learning about Larry Bird for like the last month or so. So it's all coming together. You know what I'm saying? So I did appreciate this video. Until the next one, it's been your boy Carl from Golden Grimmer Productions. Peace.